Hello everybody, my name is Talia Marcheggiani and I am a Toronto-based naturopathic doctor with a focus on mental health and hormones. And so today we're going to talk about how your genes may be affecting your mood around your period. So give me a shout out if any of these situations sounds like you. About a week before your period or more, you start to feel wired and anxious. You have trouble sleeping, you feel incredibly irritable, and your tolerance for stress goes way down. Or, up to a week before your period, usually a few days before, your mood suddenly takes a massive dip. You crave carbs and you crave sugar, and you sometimes wake in the middle of the night you might get generalized aches and pains or suffer from migraine headaches around this time. Our brain has several built-in recycling processes to keep us level-headed. When neurotransmitters, which are chemicals that have mood-regulating effects in our brains, are finished with their tasks, we have these enzymes that recycle them. They break them down into their chemical parts, and then we reuse those parts to build more neurotransmitters at a later date. This process controls the level of chemical nervous system stimulation in our brains and keeps our moods regulated. So imagine this. You're at home late at night working on an important assignment. You're driven by the excitement of the topic at hand. Your brain is flooded with a chemical called dopamine. It's a brain chemical that's connected to positive mood and motivation, pleasure and reward. Dopamine pathways are activated when we're engaged in a task that is pleasurable and rewarding, when our lives are flooded with meaning, and when we're working towards an important goal. Dopamine, however, can also be connected to psychosis, conditions like schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, and also linked to impulsive behavior, aggression, and irritability when it's expressed in very high levels. So imagine, we're back to the scenario again. You're typing happily. You near the end of your assignment. Suddenly, your computer screen goes dark. Your heart begins to race, your skin prickles, and you're overtaken by anxiety, panic, and fear. Your body is releasing epinephrine and norepinephrine, two chemicals connected to the stress, anxiety, and the fight or flight response. But these chemicals also allow us to feel alert and energized. In this situation, you're really scared. You don't know what's happened to your assignment, so your heart pounds as you try and reboot your computer. You're hyper aware of the sounds and smells around you. You notice that your skin is prickling and your breathing is loud and rapid. All of a sudden, your computer screen just lights up again, revealing that the assignment is unharmed and everything has been saved up to your last edit. So stress drains out of your body as your norepinephrine and your epinephrine levels fall. And then after all this ordeal, you begin to realize that you're tired and then it's time for bed. You add some finishing touches to your work, hit save, turn off your computer, and turn in for the night. The stress and motivation that you felt only hours before begins to dwindle as the neurotransmitters responsible for these responses are swept out of your synaptic clefts. This is the space between your neurons, your brain cells, and are recycled. You feel calm and satisfied. Your day's work is done. You feel like you had a productive evening and you're ready for bed, and you think happily of your life and your achievements. Serotonin floods your system, which is our pleasure and satisfaction neurotransmitter. You fall asleep easily and you stay asleep as your serotonin is converted into melatonin, which is our sleep hormone and enables a nice night's rest. A gene in our body called COMT, C-O-M-T, so I always think of it as like straight out of Compton, clears our hormone estrogen, which is more present in female bodies, but also present in male bodies, and our neurotransmitters dopamine, epinephrine, and norepinephrine, which I just described. When our brains have had enough stimulation of dopamine, our mood, reward, pleasure hormone, but also a hormone that's involved in aggression, irritability, impulsivity, and even psychosis, and when our brains have had enough stimulation from norepinephrine and epinephrine, which are stress and anxiety hormones or neurotransmitters, but are also involved in alertness and energy, both of those get recycled through COMT. COMT pulls these hormones, these neurotransmitters, out of circulation and breaks them down into their chemical parts and then reassembles them for later use. We all have variability in how fast our COMT enzyme works based on the expression of our DNA in our COMT genes. So some of us have slower COMT genes, meaning that our brain levels of dopamine and norepinephrine and epinephrine and estrogen tend to be higher than other people's, as our ability to clean up and recycle these hormones is slowed. So think of COMT as like a drain. When the sinks of our bodies are filled with hormones and neurotransmitters, enzymes like COMT gently filter them from our system. Some people's drains work faster than others, clearing hormones out of the circulation more quickly. Other drains are slower and can function even more slowly when environmental factors clog them up. So a slower COMT gene, like a slower drain, may result in an individual, depending on other genetic and lifestyle factors, who is at higher risk of mental health conditions like psychosis or bipolar disorder, or just someone who is generally more irritable, prone to aggression, or stress intolerant, if their bodies are not able to clear these neurotransmitters from the brain as efficiently. These individuals often experience irritability and difficulty, and it takes them a long time to calm down when they're stressed or when they get angry. Others have more COMT gene expression, so their drain is wide open, and this results in a faster enzyme that clears dopamine and norepinephrine and epinephrine more quickly, which results in lower brain levels of these neurotransmitters. If other factors are present, these individuals may be more at risk for mental health conditions like depression, low mood, lack of motivation, or even susceptible to addiction. So sometimes someone who's got a very very fast COMT will maybe be one of those people with a addictive personality. These individuals may also feel like they have ADD. It's very difficult to stay on task, and they get distracted very easily. Beyond genetics, though, there are several environmental and biological factors that may affect the speed of COMT, and one of those factors is estrogen. So remember, genes, I like to say, and I've heard this said before, I really like this analogy, genes load the gun, but environment pulls the trigger. So you may have a very slow or very fast COMT, but if you have an impeccable lifestyle, a good clean diet, exercise, good stress reduction, good hormone metabolism, you may not notice any of these symptoms, and it might just be sort of like a personality quirk, as opposed to a significant functional or even medical issue. But now estrogen slows our COMT enzyme down, and it slows it down a lot, by as much as 30%. This means that when estrogen levels are high, which is usually in women's bodies around ovulation or about a week premenstrually, when our estrogen levels make like an M shape. So they spike up around ovulation, and then they fall a little bit, and then they spike up about a week before our period in a 28-day cycle. So kind of around day 21, if the first day of your menstrual cycle is the first day that you bleed. So these levels of higher estrogen are associated with a slower COMT enzyme. Also, women with estrogen dominance, who tend to have higher levels of estrogen that aren't balanced out by other neurotransmitters. This can cause COMT to perform more slowly and for dopamine and norepinephrine and epinephrine levels to remain elevated in the brain. And so depending on the extent of the problem, women with high estrogen often experience anxiety and irritability and a low tolerance for stress around these times in their cycle. On the more severe end of the spectrum, these women may experience conditions such as PMDD, which is premenstrual dysphoria disorder, or PMS-induced psychosis, which results from abnormally high brain levels of dopamine and norepinephrine due to these high estrogen levels, and a slower enzyme. These conditions probably result from a combination of high estrogen, slowed COMT, but probably other genetic and lifestyle factors. So not everything can just be explained by our genes. Xenoestrogens from environmental toxins or birth control pills may also slow COMT and further exacerbate some of the symptoms of estrogen dominance. And on the opposite end, women with low levels of estrogen, such as those with amenorrhea, so missed menstrual cycles from various causes, so PCOS could be one, but the birth control pill could be another, especially pills that are progestin only or progestin only IUDs or hormonal IUDs. Or women who are perimenopausal or menopausal may have a faster COMT enzyme if their estrogen levels are low. This means that dopamine and norepinephrine will be cleared from their brains more quickly, and low levels of these neurotransmitters may result in depression, so low mood, low energy, and lack of motivation, and difficulty concentrating and focusing on one task. On the extreme end, low levels of dopamine in the brain may result in conditions like Parkinson's disease. And actually, there's currently research being done on estrogen replacement therapy as a treatment for Parkinson's because of its ability to increase brain dopamine levels through slowing COMT. When it comes to birth control pills, which are a combination of synthetic estrogen and synthetic progesterone, called progestins, or just straight progestin, either in pill form or in a hormonal IUD form, the effects can be really unpredictable. Because there's evidence that oral contraceptive use, especially progestin-only contraception, can exacerbate anxiety and depression, especially in teens. And the pills act by suppressing ovulation and suppressing natural hormone production, which may result in low levels of naturally occurring progesterone and estrogen, which can slow COMT. However, the synthetic estrogens from the pill may interact with COMT, speeding it up in some women. And so therefore, the specific forms of birth control on individual women is hard to predict. So if functional medicine, naturopathic medicine, and genetic research tells us anything, it's that there's certainly no one-size-fits-all when it comes to striking the right hormonal balance in the body, and we can't simplify things down. Estrogen also has effects on another enzyme called MAO-A. So think of Chairman Mao. Not the best reference, but that's how it's spelled as well. So MAO-A. And MAO-A recycles serotonin, which is our happy hormone, often implicated in depression and anxiety. When you're diagnosed with depression or anxiety and given medication, often the first thing you'll start on is an SSRI, a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, which is thought to work by increasing serotonin levels in your brain. MAO-A also recycles dopamine and norepinephrine and epinephrine. And individuals with a slow MAO-A, so their MAO-A is unable to work as quickly, breaking down serotonin, dopamine, epinephrine, and norepinephrine, tend to feel wired and anxious and tend to have this hair trigger startle response. So someone walks up behind you, startles you, you hear a loud noise, and you get that rush of stress hormone. Like COMT, estrogen slows down MAO-A, reducing the speed at which the body breaks down serotonin, and that results in higher brain serotonin levels. Drops in estrogen around and before a woman's period or low estrogen levels may result in feelings of depression as our MAO enzyme speeds up. So many women report feeling depressed and craving carbs and sugar around their periods. This often is related to a drop in serotonin as estrogen levels fall right before menses. Drops in serotonin through an increased clearance of serotonin because MAO-A is working more quickly due to drops in estrogen levels after childbirth may explain postpartum depression, according to some researchers. You have these high levels of hormones in the body during pregnancy, and then once those levels fall, that can affect our neurotransmitters and affect our moods. Drops in serotonin are associated with cravings for carbs. So carbs are turned into tryptophan, and carbs also make tryptophan more available to our brain because insulin allows tryptophan to enter the brain preferentially. Tryptophan is an amino acid found in protein, very high in eggs, poultry, things like turkey and chicken. And tryptophan gets turned into serotonin, and that gets turned into melatonin. So often people with low levels of serotonin, right before their periods, might wake up in the middle of the night as low levels of serotonin are unable to sustain melatonin production, and you might feel this craving for carbs in the middle of the night as well. Inflammation and achiness, as well as migraine headaches, can also get triggered around this time. Serotonin and estrogen can help reduce pain and inflammation when present in healthy levels in the body, and so a reduction in both of those can cause this sort of widespread aches and pains and inflammation and migraine headaches. So some things you can do if any of these scenarios sounds like you. If you notice symptoms of slowed COMT, such as irritability, anxiety, and mood swings before your period, one thing you can do is reduce your protein consumption, particularly before bed. Now I know this flies in the face of many things I recommend, which is to get protein throughout the day, but just bear with me on this one. So COMT is slowed even further by tyrosine. Tyrosine is a protein, or an amino acid from protein, which is converted into dopamine, epinephrine, and norepinephrine, and also our thyroid hormones. Tyrosine can help with mood, focus, and motivation for those who have fast COMT and low dopamine, but if you already have high dopamine and a very slow COMT, then things like tyrosine and protein and slowing your COMT enzyme down even more can push you over the edge, particularly around the time of your cycle when your estrogen levels are high. Also, since COMT works by methylating hormones, supporting proper methylation pathways is essential. A large chunk of us don't properly methylate. We don't properly take folic acid, which is a synthetic additive added to fortified grains and cheap B vitamins and multivitamins, into folate, which is the active form of the vitamin B9 used in our body to make and recycle neurotransmitters, control inflammation, and support detoxification and antioxidant synthesis, to name a few essential functions. Those with an impaired ability to methylate may have variable moods. So you might feel good one day, depressed the other. Conditions such as hypothyroidism or having low white blood cells, having to go on IVF for infertility, having a child with autism, experiencing menstrual cramping and clots in your period, and having elevated folate and B12 on your blood work can all be issues with ability to methylate. People who have low ability to methylate can't tolerate alcohol as well, and they suffer from anxiety, brain fog, perhaps chemical sensitivity, depression, irritability, and may have a hair trigger temper. So to support methylation, one thing you can do is avoid refined grains that are fortified. So rid your pantry of processed grains, cereals, breads, crackers, cookies, flours, processed rice, and corn. The government adds folic acid, which is a synthetic form of vitamin B9, to these foods, and many of us can't process folic acid. Folic acid clogs up our drains. You want to avoid cheap supplements like drugstore multivitamins and B vitamins that contain folic acid. And instead, you want to add in leafy greens, such as kale and spinach and chard, broccoli, everything green, and make sure that your naturopathic doctor is checking your B12, your homocysteine, and your blood folate levels, or assessing all of your symptoms. For those with an increase in MAO-A function right before your period, characterized by carb cravings and low mood and low motivation, may benefit from a steady intake of complex carbs. And these are carbs found in root vegetables and legumes. So not in those refined carbs, flours, and sugars. You want to be getting carbs from things like lentils and chickpeas, black beans, sweet potatoes, tubers, vegetables that grow below the ground. And you want to be getting a good portion every meal, also making sure that you're getting good protein. Keeping estrogen steady by supporting liver detoxification pathways and having regular bowel movements is also essential. You want to also balance your estrogen levels. Phytoestrogens like ground flaxseed can help modulate estrogen levels. This means that when estrogen drops, flax can bring the estrogen levels, estrogen functioning up. And when estrogen levels are in excess, it also competes with estrogen to bind to your cells. So what it does is it smooths out that estrogen up and down right before your period. You also want to avoid plastics and fragrances to help reduce exposures to xenoestrogens. These are these toxic foreign estrogens in our environment. You want to encourage sweating, so through saunas, Epsom salt baths, and exercise as a way to release these toxic estrogens from your body. So the link between estrogen and its effects on COMT and MAO hint at the complexities of the brain and the body's hormonal milieu, and its implications for hormonal regulation and mental health. Mental wellness is a complex state involving a variety of factors, so hormones and enzymes and neurochemical pathways that are affected by our environment, our genetics, and our hormonal predispositions. So this is why I believe in taking a functional approach to mental health, rather than a medical or diagnostic approach. So I want to see our mental health symptoms for what they are. They're symptoms, and I believe in making efforts to uncover the underlying causes that are rooted in our lifestyle and our genetics and our environment, and finding out the best way to tailor our environment to our genetic susceptibilities and our lifestyles. I believe the way to address symptoms is to try and to trace them back to their source. So for many women, treating depression, anxiety, and stress intolerance may involve actually balancing your estrogen levels, healing your menstrual cycle. And that's why I work with mental health and hormones. And so sometimes I see patients who just have mental health conditions and no hormonal issues. And sometimes I see patients with just hormonal issues but pretty good mood, but most of my patients actually occur somewhere in the middle, and there's a combination of those two things because our mood is influenced by our hormones, as are most of our other bodily processes. So for other people, it might involve supporting your genetic susceptibilities with lifestyle changes, finding a birth control method that balances you, or deciding to come off of it entirely. If it's just for hormonal regulation and not for contraception, there's better ways to do that, I believe. And you also want to try and reduce your exposure to xenoestrogens, supporting estrogen detoxification pathways, and addressing women's health conditions, as well as looking for the underlying root cause of women's health conditions, such as irregular menses and conditions like PMS, fibroids, endometriosis, and PCOS, and looking for where those conditions intersect with changes in mood and mental health conditions. So for more, I'm going to post this to YouTube, but for more, check out my blog, taliand.com, and continue to follow me. My name is Dr. Talia Marcheggiani. I'm a naturopathic doctor in Toronto. Take care.